Hello and welcome to author Kevin J. N. Hughes. I am the author of the soon-to-be released novel, The Undamned. So like this video, it helps me out. Um, Comment with your favorite ghost story, stitch with me with your favorite ghost story, and and most of all, follow so that you can know when The Undamned is going to be released. And know more about it. But today I am still talking about the Winchester uh, paranormal event that my wife and I experienced together. And I've just I mentioned yesterday that there was no paranormal experiences really that we had on the regular tour, but when when we did the Explore More tour, towards the end of the tour, we got to go down to the basement. Now, as soon as we got down to the basement, something felt a little bit different. There was something just a little bit different um about the tour once we got into the basement. First of all, my wife started to get really inexplicably nervous. She started feeling like there was something wrong. Now, I didn't feel that, she did. But what was happening with me was I had my cellular phone and I had my camera and and I was using my camera to take pictures, but the little face box, the little Vogue box thing kept appearing in down like empty hallways. Like there'd be an empty hall, and kind of the end of the hall was obscured by just darkness, but it would say someone was standing there. It would say there was a face there that it was registering. Um, so I found that very odd. And one of the times that it happened, it said there was a face there, and I looked up, and there was obviously no one standing in this hallway. And it gave me a an odd feeling in kind of in my stomach when this happened. But we continued on with the tour group. But I kind of to be completely honest with you, I was probably being a little bit naughty because I sort of got separated from the tour group a little bit and was just taking pictures, just having a good time, spooking myself out a little bit, to be perfectly honest with you guys. And the tour guide was over in another part of the basement. I could still see them and I could still hear what she was saying about the architecture of the basement and stuff, but I wasn't like immediately with them, if that makes sense. I was a little bit off of. I've always been a little bit off. No, I'm just kidding. I was a little bit off of the tour and I was kind of taking some pictures. And then my wife Stella came up behind me and kind of put her arm on my shoulder and she said, um, "What are you doing?" And I thought that she was saying that we needed to get back with the tour group. So I was like, "Oh, sorry. I'll get done and I'll head over there." And she said, "No, no, no. What are you doing? Are you taking pictures? Are you trying to get ghost photos or something?" And I said, "Well, I'm just taking pictures, but look, it's got," and I showed her that it was doing that facial recognition thing, and I'm like, "It's kind of weird, right?" Like, and she goes, "Yeah, it's weird, but can you take a picture over in that corner over there?" And she pointed to a corner in the basement, and she said, I really would like you to go there and to take a picture." Um, and I said, "Okay." And I thought she was going to go with me, but she said, "No, no, no, I can't go over there. I was just over there and I just really, really felt unsettled over there." So I went over there and I started taking some pictures over there. I took a photograph um, of this corner. I kind of looked around, and then unfortunately, the group had already moved on. So they were already moving on to the boiler room at this point, and I was actually at this point going to be truly separated from the group. Um, which I did not want. Not because I was spooked out or whatever, although admittedly I was a little bit, but that wasn't why I didn't want to be separated from the group. It was that I was having this wonderful opportunity and I was very aware that like they don't do the Explore More tour very often. This is a really great opportunity. My wife had got this for me as a birthday present, and it was just a huge deal that I was getting to be on this tour, and I didn't want to kind of look a gift horse in the mouth, so to speak. I didn't want to take advantage of their charity in that way. So. Um, but I noticed that from this corner that I was now standing in taking pictures, there was a hallway that connected to the boiler room. There was no lights in there really, but there was a hallway that connected to the boiler room that I could just rejoin the tour group. So I quickly just um, went through there again, being a little bit naughty because truly I probably shouldn't have done that. I think I was supposed to go the way the tour, but whatever. I was rejoined with the group, and Stella sees me coming and goes, "Where did you come from?" And I said, "From that hallway there." And she goes, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "You know, the corner where you were, where you told me to take pictures." And she goes, "No, how did you get here?" And I said, "Through the hallway." And she looked at me like I had two heads. And I thought that it was the strangest thing. Um, so then we finished the tour. I didn't see any ghost photos on my camera. So I just kind of said, okay, good enough, and was willing to move on. But now, um, come back tomorrow and I'll tell you more from my wife's perspective and what we talked about after.